deep in the heart of Texas.
What the hell do you guys want? And more important than that, how the hell did you find out where I was at? If they want some answers, they should have sent someone with some authority. Do you agree with me? Well, it really don't matter if you agree with me or not. On second thought, why don't you just sit your little carcass down at that table, I'll answer every little question you got. Before we get started with anything, like I said, we're on my time, so we're going to do things like I want to do them. I want to cover something right off the bat.
We're in the business of winning.
The first thing I want to be done is to get that piece of crap out of my ring. I'm serving notice. I don't give a damn what they are. They're all on the list, and I'm fixing to start running through all of them.
We're in the business of winning.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
Moving so fast you can't even talk about it. Things are just popping right now. Things are starting to cultivate. Things are starting to grow. Things are getting real colorful.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Lose your life.
We're in the business of winning.
Are you kidding me?
We're in the business of winning.
Are you kidding me?
We're in the business of winning.
Yeah, absolutely total control right there. Watch this. Champion's prerogative, and I just exercised that option.
We're in the business of winning. We're in the business of winning.
Yeah, if he wants to keep an eye on me, don't look behind you. No, don't look in front. Don't look to the sides. Look straight up, because I'm right on top of you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
And any crying or any excuses is just sour grapes.
We're in the business of winning.
And I think that the spotlight should go on top of me. Yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
We're in the business of winning. We're in the business of winning. We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Lose your life.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't degrade the champion at any time. Yeah, I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better. On balance, off balance, doesn't matter. I'm better than you are, yeah. I'm on my way. And nothing is gonna stop me. Nothing's gonna stop me.
And we had non-believers all along the way. I have one thing to say to those non-believers. Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart, kid, and you never go wrong.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
What the hell do you guys want? And more important than that, how the hell did you find out where I was at? they want some answers, they should have sent someone with some authority. Do you agree with me? Well, it really don't matter if you agree with me or not. On second thought, once you just sit your little carcass down at that table, I'll answer every little question you got. Before we get started with anything, like I said, we're on my time, so we're going to do things like I want to do them. I want to cover something right off the bat.
We're in the business of winning.
The first thing I want to be done is to get that piece of crap out of my ring. I'm serving notice. I don't give a damn what they are. They're all on the list, and I'm fixing to start running through all of them.
We're in the business of winning.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
Moving so fast you can't even talk about it. Things are just popping right now. Things are starting to cultivate. Things are starting to grow. Things are getting real colorful.
Look at.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Lose your life.
We're in the business of winning.
Are you kidding me?
We're in the business of winning.
Are you kidding me?
We're in the business of winning.
Yeah, absolutely total control right there. Watch this. Champion's prerogative, and I just exercised that option.
We're in the business of winning. We're in the business of winning.
Yeah, if he wants to keep an eye on me, don't look behind you. Oh, no, don't look in front. Don't look to the sides. Look straight up, because I'm right on top of you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're in the business of winning.
And any crying or any excuses is just sour grapes.
We're in the business of winning.
Let me turn this off. Hang on a second. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's still kind of dark.
Here we go. Let's go.
Still kind of dark. How's that lighting? I think that's all right. Can you see me? You guys can see me good?
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, but so 5 3-minute rounds good? Is that good for both of y'all?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, all right.
Oh man, the undefeated record's on the line.
See, I know you take this debate stuff. This is like your forte right here, man. You live for this stuff right here.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Who wants to go first?
He likes to go first. Let him go.
All right, I'll go first.
All right, let
me know when you're ready, Dart.
Yeah, let me
just check over here. Yeah, I think that's good. Check.
All right, so I'm going to start recording. I'm just going to start it with asking how you guys are doing. I'll go over the rules, say that Robin's going first, and then we'll get right into it. Are there any questions?
Sounds good.
No, sounds good, yeah.
All right, let's get into it. How you guys doing today?
Doing good,
Robin,
man.
Nick.
Good, man. Good.
Usual suspects. We're finally putting the goose eggs on the line. Who is going to come out on top? Robin will be defending and debating Jason Kidd as a greater point guard of all time, while Nick, NMB Sports, will be defending and debating Steve Nash. We've decided that Robin will be going first. There will be 5 3-minute rounds.
He said let me go first.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
That's all right.
All right. Any words before we start, or are you guys good?
I'm so close to 1K subs, man. Y'all get me over the hump.
No. All right. Well, there's nothing else to say. Let's get into it. All right. Nick, you're on the clock.
All right. Well, as usual, I have an opening statement prepared. So this all started Sunday whenever I said that Steve Nash was the quintessential offensive point guard. If you could make a point guard in a lab and you were going to give him skills, I largely think Nash is like the perfect mold of a offensive point guard, right? Robin didn't quite like this. We got into a little back and forth, and so this is kind of where we're at. Now, essentially what I think this debate will be is I will need to prove that Nash's offense was so much greater than the other things Kidd contributed in terms of an all-around game and a defense, correct? And I think the stats are with me, right? I think the offensive stats, how good he was in his peak, whenever he actually started getting 25, 30 minutes a game, I think he's definitely better than Jason Kidd. Kidd's got a few more all-time numbers. He's made some runs to the finals, which I will address, but ultimately what I will need to do here is prove that Nash's offensive game and efficiency outweighs the other things that Kidd did on the floor, right? I don't think anyone really argues that at their best that Nash is a better offensive point guard. He's a better shooter. He's better in the half court. He can run the pick and roll. I think he's made guys get better. He's also proven he can play without his best talent in Amari, which I'll get into as well, right? Another thing that's kind of brought up is that, well, Kidd took 2 Eastern Conference teams to the finals, right? Yes, he did, right? But what happened when he got there? He got absolutely shellacked. He's 2-8 in the finals with the Nets as the best player. And this is kind of poo-pooed on Nash, right, that he never got to the finals. In that run, I wanted to address the winning first. In that run, Jason Kidd never played a team before he got to the finals with 50 wins. He played one team that had exactly 50 wins in those 2 years that he went to the finals, right? We all know that at this time period, the East was down bad, right? Kidd essentially never played a team with over 50, 55 wins that he beat while being the best player on his team, right? And before the lineups get started, Kidd also played with Dikembe Mutombo, All-Star, the year before. He played with Kenyon Martin, All-Star, the year after. He played with Richard Jefferson when he was averaging 20 points. He got Keith Van Horn for a while. Rodney Rogers and Kerry Kittles, who respectively were up for votes for 6-man and defensive all-first team, right? Defensive player of the year, too, for Rodney Rogers, I believe, right? He played with some good talent as well, and I think it's held against Nash a little bit, too, from Robin's perspective, that he made guys around him better. The Suns won 29 games before Nash arrived, and the year after that, they win 60 games his first year, right? Just showing how great Nash's impact was.
Robin, you're on the clock.
Yeah, so that was great introduction right there. But my man Nick always coming thorough as usual. So yes, the debate here is the greater point guard, and I think we all know that Jason Kidd is the greater overall player and the greater point guard. So Nick, you mentioned a lot of those things about Steve Nash on the offensive end. So the case for Jason Kidd is not necessarily just the offense versus the defense, but when we think about Jason Kidd, we have to think about the leadership of Jason Kidd. And when we talk about defense, we're undervaluing defense. And why are we undervaluing defense when it becomes to winning and leadership? Well, in the postseason, as we all know, defense matters more in the postseason. Defense is what wins championships. That's what gets you there. It's the defense. So when we're talking about defense and we're talking about Steve Nash and his offensive, prowess, and we're talking about the point guard position, the point guard position, by all means, is to what? Get other players an opportunity to score the basketball, put them in good positions to score the basketball, to lead the team, be a leader, right? A lot of that is lost when we talk about what's being lost as a point guard position. You're supposed to be the floor general. The team is supposed to follow your lead out there on the court. You're supposed to be an extension of the coach. And with Jason Kidd, to me, I don't think Steve Nash was ever more of a coach on the court like a Jason Kidd was. I don't think that Steve Nash offensive abilities, his shooting abilities, are going to do more in winning time when it comes to the postseason, which is evident to what you pointed to, Nick, his failures in the postseason. And I didn't really have any intro written down or anything like that, but I'll go off some of the things that you said about the Eastern Conference when Jason Kidd made his runs those 2 years. So a lot of people try to knock the Eastern Conference as being the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference as being so much better. But we must remember, when we're talking about these two conferences, those two runs that the Nets went to the finals in 2002, 2003, there wasn't an Eastern Conference team that made the playoffs that was under 500. The 8th seed was 42-40. The 7th seed was 42-40. So when we talk about how bad the East was, it really wasn't bad. When you think about the Eastern Conference, you said the top teams that they faced only won 51 games or whatever. The Nets themselves were only winning 51, 52, 53 games and being the top team in the East. So it wasn't like they were winning 65 games and the teams under them were winning 50 games or 48 games. They were right on par with the second seed, the third seed. All these seeds within a couple of games of each other in that Eastern Conference. It was more spread out. Whereas in Western Conference, you had a lot of top-heavy teams like the Phoenix Suns with Steve Nash, who won 60 games multiple times. So when we think about Jason Kidd versus Steve Nash, to me, it's not even a question who was the better point guard, who was the better player. Jason's Kidd ability to play defense, to grab rebounds, to start the transition at a high level far outweighs Steve Nash when it came to leading and winning time. And that was evident in their careers.
All right, Nick, you're on the clock.
Okay, yeah, so I wanted to address the stats too, right? So I took Nash's stats from 2000, 2001 to 2012, 13. That was when he started getting 20, 25 minutes a game to like the last year or two in LA when he got hurt. I did the same thing with Kidd. I chopped off his rookie year and then cut some of those years in New York. I took like their best years. Nash averages more points per game by 2. He averages 1 more assist. He's only down by 3 rebounds total, right? Again, I think that when you're shooting, and for this same period, he averaged 50, 40, 90 for like 10, 11 years, which I think is absolutely remarkable. We all know that 4 times he made it in the 50, 40, 90 club. Kidd gets 3 more rebounds and 1 steal over this time frame, right? Again, Nash for this time goes 50 from the field, 43 from 3, 56 effective field goal, and 91 from the free throw. Kidd goes 40% from the field, 35 from 3, 79 from the free throw, right? I just don't think that the little bit extra that Kidd is doing on defense, like, don't get me wrong, Nash was definitely a liability on defense, but it wasn't from a lack of trying, right? It's not that he didn't want to play defense. It's just he just physically did not have the same horses that a lot of other guys that he went up against in terms of physicality, right? But on the offensive end, he was an absolute juggernaut, and he is head and shoulders better than Kidd, right? From the time he started in Dallas, we're going to compare their team sort of rating, right? Let's look at the defensive rating for Kidd's teams. Let's look at the offensive rating for Nash's, right? 2000, 2001, the Mavericks go 4th offensive rating, first. First year with the Suns, he goes first, second, second, first. In his last 3 years, when he starts sort of getting hurt a little bit, he goes 9th with that last one with the Lakers, right? Kidd gets a top 10 defensive rate. That was a total of 13 times, by the way. Kidd only gets a top 10 defensive rating for his team 8 times. Couple of 1 spots, yes, and a 3 and a 4. Only gets in the offensive rating top 10 once. And Nash also got in the defensive rating for his team top 10 1 time as well, right? The argument here, right, for me is Nash's offense is better than the defense between him and Kidd's defense, right? And whenever we start comparing everything, Nash had a 50-win team 9 times, 60-win team 3 times. Kidd only did a 50-win team 7 times. Never had a 60-win team, right? Again, you compare them at their peaks. Nash is essentially beating them except for 3 rebounds and 1 steal. His splits are essentially 10% higher across the board. And even when I looked at their personal offensive and defensive rating, again, you want a biggest gap as possible. You want the defense low and the offense high. Nash beats them by like 3 to 4 points in terms of that difference as well.
All right, Robin, you're on the clock.
Nick, you're making my argument right here, man, as far as Jason Kidd's greatness and his impact on the game. You don't even realize it. All those numbers that you just put out, all the winning on the Phoenix Suns, all the first ratings on offense, that's why the Phoenix Suns were the favorite in a lot of those playoff series. And what happened in the playoffs, though? They didn't win. Why? Because of what I mentioned in my intro. Defense matters in the postseason. In the regular season, that's what Steve Nash is about. The 50, 40, 90 stuff. He's putting up all these offensive numbers that you just laid out perfectly. And what you did there is you highlighted this, that Steve Nash was supposed to be on a better team than Jason Kidd. You highlighted all the players that are on his team with those wins. Steve Nash wasn't winning those games by himself. The fact that Jason Kidd was only winning 50 games goes to the teammates that he had on his team. You named some guys early in your intro. These guys were 35, 36 years old, the Kembe Mutombos, guys of this nature. No one's denying their impact on the team aspect. But when we talk about Steve Nash playing with Dirk Nowitzki in his prime, who was an MVP candidate every single season, who was on the All-NBA team above Steve Nash, Jason Kidd never played with an All-NBA player his entire career. Not one single year did he play with an All-NBA teammate. Steve Nash literally every single year from about 2002 to about 2010 played with an All-NBA player, whether it was Dirk Nowitzki, whether it was Amari Stoudemire, whether it was Shawn Marion. There was a long list of guys that Steve Nash played with, which is why he was winning 60 games multiple times, like you said, the high 50s. And all that does is show that Jason's Kidd's all-around game, not just the defense. When you talked about the 3 rebounds, we're not also talking about the offensive rebounding numbers. The rebounding that Jason's turning into transition baskets. It's not just a rebound and that was it. These are rebounds that he's outletting passes. He's starting the fast break. We all know about Jason Kidd on the fast break, one of the greatest fast break point guards of all time. So when we talk about all the things that Jason Kidd was able to do on a team with a little bit of help, I mean, like you said, you just pointed it all out right there. The numbers that Steve Nash was putting up on the offensive end was not translating into wins in the postseason, though. Why is that? Due to a Steve Nash inability to play style defense against a Tony Parker, with D'Antoni's inability to coach defense at a high level. All of these things contributed to the Phoenix Suns' collapses and failures in the postseason when they had the home court advantage several times against the San Antonio Spurs. The one team that just couldn't seem to be for some reason. And why was that? Because the defense of the San Antonio Spurs and the inability for Steve Nash to raise the team around him like a Jason Kidd was able to do in other ways. Jason Kidd's one of the few people in NBA history that can impact a game without scoring a single basket. Steve Nash needed to score to impact the game at a high level.
Nick, you're on the clock.
And score he did. So you brought up some of the help that Nash had, right? And when Nash won his second MVP, do you know how many games Amari played that year?
3.
3. That's right. He won it with and without the help. The year before Nash gets there, Amari, Marion, Joe Johnson, all those guys played for 2 years together, and they even got D'Antoni for most of the year before Nash showed up, right? They went 21-40 under D'Antoni, 29-53 for the year. Again, Nash shows up. All of those same guys are there. They don't really take Amari took a big step forward, right? But obviously I think that a lot comes from Nash. They go the next year they win 62 wins with Nash as the point guard, and they never looked back. And you bring up kind of this thing, it's kind of like you can look at it 2 ways, right? Whether you think the East was spread out or not, I'm not sure, because there was also no teams in the West that finished under 500 that made it to the playoffs as well. Maybe there's 1 or 2 I'm forgetting. But again, the top-end talent was in the West, and that's who Nash lost to, right? The 4 years he gets to the Western Conference Finals, the Spurs have 60 wins, they go on to win it. That was when he was with Dallas. And by the way, him and Dirk only made one All-Star team together before he left, right? I don't know if Dirk was first All-NBA at that point quite yet. He might have been second or third. He might have been on the second, yeah. So again, Dirk had not quite hit his ultimate stride yet either. And then Nash would go on to win 2 MVPs the first 2 years away. He's away from Dirk. In 04-05, he loses with the 59-win team Spurs, who again go on to win it. He lost 4-2 to the Spurs. So did Jason Kidd that same year. In 05-06, he loses to the 60-win Mavs. They would go on to the ring. They also would lose it to the Miami Heat. In 2009-2010, they lost the Western Conference Finals to the eventual champion LA Lakers, right? And again, the only time I could find somewhere where we could compare them in 2010, right? Both of them played the San Antonio Spurs. Kidd and the Mavs lost 2-4. Nash swept the Spurs that year, right? And again, we're talking about looking at who Kidd lost to, right? He's losing to the same teams in those 2 finals that Nash played. He gets absolutely stomped, right? And then after that, he can hardly get out of the semis. He loses to some 45, 47-win teams. Nash is over here on the absolute murderer's row of the Western Conference, who losing to the eventual champion essentially every year, right? I just don't think comparing how Kidd never really got it done until he went and played with Dirk as well, by the way, and then comparing Nash not breaking through, I just don't think the 2 levels of competition are quite the same, right? 4 Western Conference Finals compared to 2 Eastern Conference Finals and 1 ring he won in 2011.
Robin, you're on the clock.
Once again, we're talking about the Eastern Conference. We're talking about the competition. Let's rewind here, though, and go back to the 2005 season that you'd like to hype on here with Steve Nash. The Steve Nash fans of the 05 season, which might be one of the most terribly MVP seasons I've ever heard about. How many points did Steve Nash average in the 2005 season? Does everybody know? He averaged 14 points in the MVP season, or 15 points, I want to say. That's what Steve Nash averaged. Can you tell me who averaged under 20 points? Could you find an MVP that averaged under 20 points per game in NBA history? I think there were 3. Bill Russell, Bill Walton. I think are the only 2 other guys that did that. But since the merger, no one's ever won the MVP scoring under 20 points per game. So let's understand that right there. And why do I bring that up? Because we must think about 2004, the 2004 season. Where was Steve Nash? He didn't make an all-star team. He didn't make an all-NBA team. He was nothing in 2004. While his teammate, Dirk Nowitzki, was on the all-NBA third team. So when we talk about 2004, Steve Nash not even making an all-star team that season. Then the next year he wins MVP. You're telling me that doesn't have anything to do with Mike D'Antoni and his system. There's a lot to do with that. The hype around the Phoenix Suns at that time, they were hyped up, man. Steve Nash was sensational. But that MVP season, we could put a question mark there because of what I just said. He wasn't even an all-star in 04, but 05, he's the MVP. That might be the first time in NBA's history that's ever happened. When we talk about the competition about Jason Kidd, once again, raising his teammates, again, you can't name me anybody close to a Dirk Nowitzki, a Amari Stoudemire, a Sean Marion, a Michael Finley, a Nick Van Exel, all these guys that Jason Kidd played with. You name Kenyon Martin, Richard Jefferson, who I give props to these guys. They were solid players. Keith Van Horn, Kerry Kittles, solid players, no doubt. No one's sniffing an all-NBA team. They're not sniffing it. Jason Kidd averaged a triple-double in the 2002 Eastern Conference Finals, a triple-double. He led his team in scoring multiple playoff series. In scoring, Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd's career high in the regular season is 1 point higher than Steve Nash's of 42. Jason Kidd's career high is 43 in the regular season. Steve Nash in the postseason, I think his career high is 48. Jason Kidd's triple-doubles. What does he have, like 110? Steve Nash, I think, has 2, 3. The all-around game of Jason Kidd is why Steve Nash will never be considered greater than him. It's not a knock on Steve Nash. They're both all-time greats. Me and you, we both know that, Nick. We're nitpicking here. But when you think about Jason Kidd and you mention the people that he played with and you mention the Western Conference, it wasn't like Steve Nash was there winning 50 games. He had a really good team. He should have won at least one of those. The Spurs wouldn't be the dynasty they were if maybe Steve Nash and his team wins one of those series.
Nick, you're on the clock.
Yeah, in 07-2, you had the hip check by Ori, and they go on to tie it 2-2. Suns have the home court, and they lose Game 5 by 3 points without Dial and Amari. So, again, who knows what happens, but yeah, for sure. But one thing I don't like is this winning narrative around Jason Kidd. Like, I don't get that, why he gets a winning narrative over Steve Nash, right? Again, he played a bunch of nobodies going to the first 2 times they got in the finals, and he got stomped. And those same teams that Nash was playing, those are the same people he lost to that Kidd lost to, right? Just because you have to play him a round sooner or 2 rounds sooner, like, it shouldn't be held against Nash that he also lost to other all-time great teams, right? And again, like, if you could show me somehow how Kidd's 3 rebounds a game and 1 more steal a game led to some like great defensive accomplishment, or that was the difference in why they won, you know, I might believe it. But one thing is for sure, right? The Suns are nowhere near as good. Amari is nowhere near as good. Those few years that Nash is the straw, that stirring the drink, that led to the offensive, again, with Dallas and with Phoenix, he essentially had the best offense on his team when he was at his peak for like 10 years. He led the best offense in the league. The same cannot be said for Jason Kidd on the defensive end. And in terms of like the points per game and stuff, Nash essentially averages like an 18, 19, 20, and 10 or 11. His highs and assists are also better than Jason Kidd, right? And his points all time are better. I just don't see how like a couple of rebounds and a steal here or there is going to somehow make up this otherworldly difference in terms of how good Nash was on the offensive end. Again, he had the best offense in the league for an entire decade. He averaged 50, 40, 90 for an entire decade, right? He led the best offense, some of the best offensive production in the playoffs or in the regular season that we've ever seen, right? And to say that, well, Kidd somehow made that up with a few more rebounds and steals, I just don't think over the long haul like that really adds up. Nash's peak on offense is blowing away anything that Kidd is doing in terms of an overall game. Again, triple-doubles are nice, but it doesn't really bother me whenever Nash is leading the best offense every year. He's the one doing that. And Kidd is, I don't know, I mean, putting up decent stats, I guess, but Nash has decent stats as well, and he's leading the best offense. And I don't think you can mirror that on the other end with things Kidd has done in terms of defense or overall game. And the offense on the Nets and any team he was a part of almost always sucked. Never top 10, ever.
All right, Robin, you're on the clock.
Once again, you're highlighting Jason Kidd's teammates and the lack of the offensive help and the players he's playing with. So let's think about Steve Nash, and let's think about the 2003 playoffs, because that's really the best comparison for teams when we talk about the San Antonio Spurs that the Nets faced in the finals and the same Spurs team that the Dallas Mavericks faced when Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki were both there. And the Dallas Mavericks were a much better team than the New Jersey Nets were. And you said it was 4-2. See, when you gloss over and you just look at it 4-2, you think, oh, it was a similar series. It was the same series. But if you watch the games and if you highlight or if you look at the other games of the series in Dallas, let's remember something. The Dallas Mavericks won the first game and then proceeded to lose 3 games in a row. They were down 3-1. The series was not as close as that 4-2 would make you think it was. They were getting essentially blown off the court in that series. The Mavericks were able to win a game 5 to try to save themselves a little bit of embarrassment. When we think about the Nets in 2003 against the San Antonio Spurs, who were much, much better than they were overall, easily, they should have blown the Nets out. But why was it a close series? It was tied 2-2 going into game 5. And I've talked to you guys about this game 5 before. There were many times there where other guys stepped up on the San Antonio Spurs. That game was very tough, very close. If you look at all the games in that series, except for the first game, every game was in single digits. Game 6, the Nets were winning late in game 6 in the fourth quarter. But what happened? Steven Jackson proceeded to hit 3 threes in a row. The San Antonio Spurs were going to win that game. That series was a lot closer than you're trying to make it seem when you say it was 4-2 like the Mavericks series. And that was because of Jason Kidd. You're underestimating when you talk about numbers. I told you, Jason Kidd's one of the very few players in the history of the NBA that impacted the game at a high level without impacting the box score. It's not about the 1 steal or the 3 rebounds. It's about the consistency of that over time and what it does in the playoffs. His defense matters more, which is why he was able to slow down guys like a Tony Parker and guys like that, where Steve Nash wasn't able to do that. There was a series where Tony Parker averaged 30 points a game, almost 29 points something, against the Phoenix Suns. He led the Spurs because Steve Nash couldn't stop him. Steve Nash's offensive numbers are great, no doubt about it. But offense doesn't win in the postseason, and you've highlighted that with all the first place offenses he played for. It didn't translate to wins because Steve Nash's game didn't translate in the postseason. You have to play defense. That's always been the downfall of those Phoenix Suns teams to this day. The downfall of Mike D'Antoni teams, like guys at the Houston Rockets or James Harden, who put up all these numbers on offense, but when it mattered most, he wasn't there for you. It's the same thing with Steve Nash's career. He's an all-time great. It's not about the winning per se. It's about Jason's Kidd impacting the game more because of all the things that he did.
Final round. Nick, you're on the clock.
So in that 0-3 series, by the way, that's when Dirk sprained his knee in Game 3, and he missed the rest of the series. That should also be pointed out a little bit. I kind of forgot about that until you brought it up. But again, like Nash, here's also the thing, right, is who is to say that kid is like the leader of his defense, right? Rodney Rogers, again, was there. He was almost a defensive player of the year, I believe it was. He got some votes. He plays on these great defenses. I also think it's kind of unfair to say that Nash is responsible for D'Antoni's system and like why they never had a stopper really except for Marion a little bit. I don't see the defense being totally on Nash either. But one thing is like for sure and for certain, and that is that Nash led the best offense in the league almost no matter where he went, no matter what year it was, with Amari, without Amari, on the Mavs, on the Suns, right? You knew you were getting the best offensive point guard, in my opinion, during that time in the league, right? And I don't think you can say Kidd was the best defensive point guard in that same time. I think there's probably a lot of guys you could throw up there, but in terms of being offensively dominant, in my opinion, Nash was head and shoulders the best offensive point guard during his time or during that run, right? 50, 40, 90 for 10 or 11 years. I honestly had to look at it like 5 times to make sure I was doing it right. The fact that he averaged 50, 40, 90 over an entire decade is pretty remarkable, right? Again, the best offense almost every year. Again, I'm trying to make the argument that weight is more than what Kidd maybe did on the defensive end, right? Also, you can't run a pick and roll with Kidd. You can't do a lot of things that you can do with Steve Nash, with him being able to extend the floor. He could be an off-ball too. He could do so many more things than what Jason Kidd did. Jason Kidd was a fast break guy for the most part. In the half court, he struggled a lot. You could see that in his field goal percentage. Again, it's fine that we want to say that like he slowed the game down defensively, and maybe that's why they had such a great defensive rating. But he also struggled mightily on the offensive end, and it doesn't necessarily mean he was playing the best defense either. I remember Jason Kidd as a Mavs fan, and I watched him in New Jersey. He's great up and down the court. Lateral side to side, he struggles a little bit too and gets blown by smaller, quicker guys. And again, this argument is that Nash's peak of offense is something we have never seen before. Really, it quite is. When I was looking at the numbers, it almost stands alone. Kidd's defense, like I've seen that before, and I don't think it was necessarily as prime as Nash's offense, right? That's just kind of my final say. Obviously, people are going to vote and say whatever, but that's my argument. The peak of Nash offense beats Kidd's all-around game, I guess you could say.
All right, Robin, you're on the clock.
All right, so the main thing we have to remember here is the only thing that Steve Nash did better than Jason Kidd really was dribbling the basketball and shooting. That's literally all he did better than Jason Kidd. That does not make you a greater point guard of all time. It does not. Jason Kidd was a better passer. His passes were flashier. He could make all the passes. He was better on the fast break. When we talk about rebounding, obviously he was a better rebounder. His defense, obviously he was a better defensive player. The leadership I mentioned, obviously he was a better leader. His game translated into the postseason. You keep talking about the offensive numbers of Steve Nash, the 50, 40, 90. It didn't translate to any wins in the postseason, though. When the Phoenix Suns were favored, they folded up in the postseason. Why? Because of other teams in their conference were better defensively No one's blaming Steve Nash for Mike D'Antoni's system. What we're highlighting is that the offense is great in the regular season. You'll win 62 games. You'll put up all these great numbers. But Jason Kidd's game goes way beyond the numbers. Anybody that watched the NBA in that time, the 90s into the 2000s, early 2000s, will tell you that Jason Kidd was absolutely, I would say maybe 2002, 2003, 2001. He was absolutely the best defensive point guard in the NBA. You can absolutely say that, no questions asked. Guys like Gary Payton, they were done. They were old by that point. So when we think about these things, all the numbers that Steve Nash put up offensively, at the end of the day, it did not translate. Jason Kidd, throughout his entire career, did not play with the kind of teammates that Steve Nash did. This is not trying to downplay any of Jason Kidd's teammates or to take away from Steve Nash's greatness overall. He was the catalyst for those offenses, absolutely. But when we talk about the impact, like you said, the impact on the game is to what? To win. You want to win. A point guard's position is to what? Not really score. Steve Nash's number one ability, or his best ability, was to shoot the ball. Not necessarily score, but to shoot at a high level. So if he's only taking 11 or 12 shots, he's going to make a lot of those. When we talk about Jason Kidd's field goal percentage, that's not how he impacted the game. A lot of Jason Kidd's shots came running down the shot clock late, playing with guys who didn't have offensive games to go and get baskets. Jason Kidd had to take a lot of bad shots. That wasn't his thing. So we can't say they had a bad field goal or he didn't dominate the offense. That was never what he was supposed to do as a point guard, was to pass the ball, to initiate the offense, to get the guys involved, to lead the team. His game translated in the postseason better than Steve Nash ever did, which is why in 2011 he was able to help the Dallas Mavericks that way at that age. Steve Nash wouldn't have been able to impact the game at that age because Jason Kidd's all-around game, it aged better. He was able to help. He led the entire playoffs in 2011 in assists at that age. That's Jason Kidd's his game impacting more than just stats, more than just field goal percentage, more than steals. Steve Nash, how many times did he average one steal?
I think
and
only once or twice.
And that is the end of the official debate. If you've been watching this, please go and put your vote in of who do you think won. That'll be up for a while, and we'll see if there's an overwhelming winner. I guess before we go, do y'all want to continue this conversation, take the gloves off, or have you had enough to say about it?
No, I mean, no, I don't have bad blood with Robin like I do other people. So
that's the thing about debating, man. Sometimes you want to do with a heated person, you know?
Yeah. No, this was fun. I honestly I respect Robin a lot. I like his energy. I like he knows his shit. Like he brings it, and so yeah.
Listen, man. I knew that you were gonna come with the research, man. So I had to dig into a little bit. I don't like doing that stuff too much, man. But I know you're good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought he did exactly as good as I thought he would. So
awesome. Everyone that watched, thank you for watching. Again, please vote. And for everyone, Michael Jordan fans are the best. I forgot to mention, I'm going to put in an email. I'm not going to be able to do it on Sunday. I'm going out of town on a little weekend vacation for Labor Day.
Gotcha.
So nice.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. But thanks for coming. I'm excited to see who's going to win. See who loses that goose egg.
No,
man. Steve Nash and Jason Kidd, they're like equally just as popular, I feel like, out there in the NBA space, man.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things where it's not like, you have like a favorite per se, really.
I also feel like sometimes these debates are a little, I don't want to say pointless because they're entertaining and fun, but like people are still going to vote, Someone who's a Kidd fan isn't going to come in and be like, oh, well, you made some good points. I'll vote Nash, like.
Yeah. Well, you're right, yeah. Like you said, man, we're friends, man. So it's it's not a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I do the votes to be engaging. Like, I don't do the votes to it's what the people say.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's perfect. Yeah,
like people have won where I'm like, you didn't win. You didn't win the actual debate.
I lost a debate. I was trying to argue Manziel's better than Vince Young, and I lost that. And I was like, I didn't lose. I'm not taking the loss.
That was good though.
Yeah, for sure.
But all right, guys, it was fun. I'm gonna I'll probably start editing it. Probably tonight. I gotta go see what my fam's up to. But if not, I'll be up tomorrow sometime.
Okay.
And I hope you guys have a great night.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'll talk to y'all later.
You too. Be good, Nick.
Yep. You too.
All right, good.
Later,
Good,
guys.
man.
All right. We keep going or what? Should we live stream a little here? Let me see. Blink, blink. I feel like I could have done a little better. But I also feel like I made the points I needed to make. So there's that. Go. Whoops. Well, that's it. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of finishing notes. I guess that went about as I expected it to go. Robin's no pushover. Robin's no pushover, bro. He's definitely good at debating and whatnot. I just think that in terms of giving Kid credit for those two finals runs, I think is a little fool's gold. And I think that Nash's ultimate peak and his ultimate dominance on the offensive end outweighs the all-around game and the defense of what Kid did. I mean, Kid was so limited offensively, right? Like, just, I don't want to say atrocious, but in terms of all-time point guards, I mean, he was worse than Magic, right? I mean, which is, you know, I'm not trying to knock Magic or anything, but I just feel like Nash offensively was such a liability, and not that, I mean, Kid was offensively a liability, and not that Nash was good on defense, but he wasn't just a total pushover, right? Which I feel like is sometimes what people think about him. And I don't know. And then, you know, whenever I bring up that like 10 to 12 year peak there of each of them, right? I mean, Nash is beating him in points, assists, percentage, efficiency. The only thing he doesn't win is he's 3 less rebounds and 1 less steal, right? I just don't feel like that's enough to outweigh the benefits of Steve Nash, you know, stretching the floor. He can run the pick and roll with anybody. He gets in the lane. He pokes some prides. He makes the defense suffocate in on him. I feel like maybe I could have argued or debated a little better, right? But again, I brought up Nash's like all-time offensive ratings with his team. Dude, it's crazy that in Dallas, they were 4th, 1st, under Nash, right? Nash is leading that offense, right? Yeah. And who was it was the Cavaliers, right? In 07 who ended up going, I believe. Yeah, because they played the Spurs. Yeah, they definitely beat the Cavs, right? They would have had to play. Who would they have played in the conference finals? Let's see, that was 2006, 2007. right? And they lose to the Spurs. So they would have had to play the Utah Jazz, who the Spurs handled pretty good. And then, yeah, they would have played the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's probably a ring on Nash's finger that changes the whole aspect of his career. But, man, like, even with the whole, like, 2011 thing, you know, he brought up, it was his last round to go, so I guess I couldn't quite rebuke him. But, like, 2011 kid, dude, like, it's not like those assists he got were from him creating offense, if that makes sense, right? It's a lot of running a bunch of pick and rolls, if you know how the Dallas offense worked during that time, right? Getting a bunch of pick and rolls, kicking out to the open man, Dirk in the post. I just don't think that – I think that the 2011 numbers for Kidd being the all-time assist leader in the playoffs that year is a little, I think, overinflated. Again, he played one or two more series than everybody, right? And on that 2011 season, I mean, Kidd was maybe the fifth best player on our squad, right? And, like, Nash did lead a couple teams to, like, the best defensive rating in the league, like 2 or 3 years, and then he had some third and fourth place finishes, right? But Nash's team's offensive rating and Nash's offense just outweighs the defense that Kidd brings or that he leads his team to, right, on average. It was just kind of my feeling. Should have maybe done a better job arguing, but that's all right. I still feel like I won the debate, but just not by the same standards I expect of myself, right? And, man, like 2 MVPs, one completely without Amari Stoudemire. Again, the best offense for an entire decade, essentially, led by one guy. Man, yeah, like, better assists. Yeah, he was definitely washed in 11. Yeah, but, I mean, he maybe wasn't. I just don't feel like he should get a lot of credit. I feel like he gets way more credit for that 2011 run than he should. And speaking from a Mavs fan, right, like, if anyone's going to shoot you straight, it'd be me. But, like, Terry, Marion, Chandler, Dirk, you know, like, you had so many. He's maybe fifth most important on that team, to be honest with you. Hell, J.J. Barea had some breakout games in 2011. Man. All right. What do you want to do, Michael? You want to come on? You want? I'll send you the link. Yeah, Peja was there too, but he hardly played. Brendan Haywood. Dude, people forget we lost Caron Butler like a third of the way through, and he was maybe our second best all around player, offense and defense, right? Imagine it had he stayed healthy. We might have. Who knows? Maybe he sticks around. The team sticks around. If we do even better, you never know. Bros, we're so close to 1K, bro. Oh my God. Let's scroll some Twitter, dude. Let's scroll some Twitter, bro. Love scrolling Twitter, right? It's the best. Oh, no, what a great first tweet. If this squad got back together again, how many rings would they win? 0. Because they got to go through Dirk. Dirk said no.
It's now 3-1.
Wow. A line drive off the bat of Corey Seager. Nimmo started going back as if he was going to have a play on it.
Bro, 966, bro.
3-2. And he hits that hard out to center field. Nimmo going back. He'll look up. It's gone. And
bro, we got 5 just from the time we started the debate.
Of the year. And the Rangers have started the
God, being a Ranger is an absolute heart attack. Austin Reeves, best player in the world edition. Oh, shit. That's funny. Alex Caruso, probably my favorite Aggie basketball player ever. I can't really think of another one. I mean, DeAndre Jordan, AC Law. I had a couple buddies who played for him. But in terms of like basketball players, Caruso's probably my favorite. $296? When is that supposed to be? December 16th? Damn. Dude, that'd be... If that actually... I mean, I know he's kind of guessing. Dude. Figueroa and Kara France. Thompson and Gary. Pavlovich Aspinall. Holloway Tapora. Holy shit, dude. That would probably... This might be the best card ever if it actually happens. He played against podcasters, yeah. He played against millennials, bro. We're not even trying to hear the competition that LeBron played against. Kyrie Irving. Best layup package of all time? Maybe. He's definitely one shifty, smooth dude. That'd be so true, bro. That's like in 92 though, like the whole 92 thing, it was like more of a rock tour, you know, like there's stories of like the teams they were playing wanting to take pictures with them more than play against them, right? It's kind of crazy. So true, man. Man, it's such a struggle being a Rangers fan lately. I think so. I think you gotta move Dirk off the ball a little more. I want to get him in the extended post. Get him at the elbow. Something else, right? Luka's much more versatile than Kyrie, so while I'd want the ball in Luka's hands more, I think it might serve the team and the numbers better to move Luka off the ball. See if you can't get him coming off a screen or two on a bad mismatch and get a guard in the post or something like that. I would like to see that more from Kyrie and Luka, right? That's just my 2 cents, right? I would love to get Luka off ball, on the block or something, get him coming off a screen or two. If we can get a switch, that's an incredible mismatch. If you can get Luka the ball 10 feet away from the hole on a mismatch, right? I think that's pretty crazy to do.
Seventh in the league in scoring at just over 28 points a game.
Dude, I love Twitter. Dude, look at him, bro. At 16? That's crazy. God, Josh Howard, dude.
Spoke too much. No lie, I've traded guys because he spoke too much.
Yo, for real, I got a story on this, right? If Nash didn't get hurt. What, his first year there was 12, 13. It's a pretty good team. Paul Gasol. Hell, even Steve Blake off the bench, right? Kobe. Dwight Howard. Anton Jameson. Love Anton Jameson, dude. Nash. Meta World Peace. Ron Artest. Yeah, I don't know. This was 2 years after the Mavs won, right? I don't know. You know, do they beat the Heat or the Spurs? I don't know. Probably not. Yo, for real though, I had a friend of mine who I think was on like a temporary NBA contract for a very short period, and like a couple guys who play overseas and whatnot. And this is probably like 10, 15 years ago. He says that like everyone in the league smokes. It's kind of crazy.
No lie, I've traded guys because he smoked too much.
Gotta be Josh Howard, right? Gotta be Josh Howard, right? Oh my God. I was gonna say Marquise Daniels was the other one I was betting on. Oh my God, it's funny.
Oh my goodness, it's easy.
Not sure what happened there, but now they can push this one. Watson, oh, look out below. Pocket, Taka, B, Elvis, and you can see that one. Wow.
And
that green?
might have been the dagger. Shea with the rebound, pushing the tempo, finds Barrett running hard.
Yo, SGA, low key. SGA's top 10 in the league, easy. Like, not even close. He's definitely top 10 or top 5. I don't care what anybody says. Oh my gosh. 1 out away from a no-hitter. Oh, man. Shit. Oh, yeah. Also, a fun fact. It's either the dad or the grandpa off of Duck Dynasty was the starting quarterback ahead of Terry Bradshaw at Louisiana Tech. Fun fact, in case it ever comes up in sports trivia. I just find that crazy.
That you've ever seen. This is your list. Who is in your top 5?
My list. Growing up, I ain't watched football that much, but I know that I watch highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And Barry Sanders was on my highlights.
Mm-hmm.
AP was on my highlights.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Thomason.
3.
And then I'm going to get a little bit into this air. Saquon Barkley.
Ooh, yeah.
Then.
Got one more.
Myself.
When you talk.
Oh my God. That's like, I'm going to clip that. That's any time someone tells you to give a top 5 list of anything, right? Yo, I got MJ. I got Kobe, right? I got Wilt. I got Russell. And then I got me. That's like every single person's top 5 list.
I'm gonna get you out of here. I promise you, I'm gonna get you out of there.
I'm gonna. It's too funny. 966. Oh, no, they didn't show the exact shot because no one knows.
When you talk about the top 5 running backs that you've ever seen, This is your list. Who is in your top 5?
My list. Growing up, I ain't watched football that much, but I know.
I don't watch football that much. Oh. Oh. Ow. Oh my God. That's so crazy.
Middle of the fairway.
Dude, that's nuts. That's so cool though. That's crazy. These little days. Yo, okay, all right. I'm on it right now. I need to give my take on this this Noah Lyles thing, right? We'll cut this out for a video on its own. This is one of the stupidest takes I have ever heard. And what's not surprising is that a guy came out with a stupid take, right? Happens all the time, myself included. But like, how many people are agreeing with him who are like, "Oh, that's right. Facts. Someone had to say it," right? This is by far one of the, not so much of how dumb it is, because I get what he's trying to say. Poll's not out yet. He might come out with, he usually like give it a day or a few hours, he'll come out later. But like it's not so much how dumb the take is, because the take's pretty dumb, but I somewhat get what he's trying to say. What I'm surprised at is how many people agree with it, right? And we actually had this debate today at work, right? And a lot of people like compare it to soccer and Olympic Games and stuff like that. Look, the NBA is the greatest league by a country mile in terms of basketball, right? There is no other, there's not even a second place for what means the most in the basketball world, right? And he also said something like, oh, well, like, you know, they don't have flags or whatever in the NBA. The NBA is a global game. In fact, all you hear lately is if you could take the best international players and the best American-born players, right, who would win? It's like a toss-up, right? Or it's at least very competitive, which it wasn't, 10, 20 years ago to the point it is now. But the NBA is where everyone comes to play. The best players in the world come to the NBA to play basketball, and the NBA trophy means more. The Larry O'Brien trophy means more than any other trophy in basketball, bar none, not even close. Gold medals don't mean as much. The FIBA World Cup doesn't mean as much. Those two together don't mean as much as winning an NBA title, right? So it's just a stupid take. Like, it's not a one-for-one translation. Yeah, I saw that Greg Popovich said it. Look, Popovich is wrong. He's just wrong, baby. Like, he just is. Like, this is such a brain-dead take in comparison. There is no one-for-one comparison here with track and field and things of that nature, right? In track and field, you can run a 100-meter dash in Japan or in California or in Africa or in Europe, right? And you could almost guarantee that's about the time they'll run anywhere else in the world, right? Basketball is nothing like that, right? You have to prove it on the court, and the best players come to the NBA, right? It's just the way it is. The best comparison would be this, right? Is the Super Bowl the world championship of American football? Yes, right? There's not a single person out there who says, well, if those Kansas City Chiefs played the whatever team, I don't even know, whatever team out of Canada, you never know. It could be a toss-up, right? the Super Bowl winner didn't quite prove they were the best because they haven't played someone from the Canadian Football League, right? It's just not how it works, man. It's like saying like, oh, well, you know, the Denver Nuggets were pretty good, but had they played that team from Chile, you know, you never know, right? Like, it's so stupid. And then not only that, but like if you wanted to throw American players, right? If the best from America actually went every year, I mean, it wouldn't even be close. It'd be a rout. I mean, it'd be a rout 99 times out of 100, correct? It's just such a bad take, right? And the thing is, like, I don't know if someone pissed in this dude's Oreos or his Cheerios or what happened, right? But it felt like a personal grudge, right? Like, why attack the NBA like this? I just don't get it, right? The Larry O'Brien Trophy is the world championship of basketball. Ren, where you at, bro? Oh, there he is. Go ahead, caller. What's your take? Oh, my God. I can't even hear him. Maybe you can't hear me.
Oh, wait. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
You got your camera on, too. You got your camera on, bro.
First of all, I have no idea what you're talking about. I just tuned in. What is Larry O'Brien? Where were you going with this?
That Noah Lyles.
I mean, like, the debate was cut now. That's like, it was a kind of a, I don't know if it was just on TikTok or it was on YouTube. Like, y'all were going in and coming out. So.
Damn. I don't know.
Yeah. So.
I don't know, bro. It's all right.
Did he?
If it's a bad recording, Dart will have one too. I'll just download that one or something.
How do you think he did? Did he have some good points?
Like,
you didn't expect, or?
I feel like I edged him out, but it wasn't the performance that I expected of myself.
You got to think though. You know, it's not the performance you expect out of a guy who's never lost a fucking debate in his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, excuse my language, YouTube. But I mean, it's pretty hard when you're debating Nash, Kidd, like 1-2, like some people's list 1-2 or 2-3 or 1, you know, like 1-3.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Robin's a good debater, so like, you know,
he's so loud. Like he gets his point.
He's got that energy. Yeah, he's got good debate energy.
Dude, for real, he does. he's hilarious on y'all's panels, dude. Like,
yeah. Him and
Rex, on,
he's
bro.
always,
are you kidding me?
He's calling out Rex.
Rex, are you serious?
Yeah.
If there's only one MJ, and I'm like, I put it in the chat, and then Dart posted up there like, well, if there's two MJs and there's Kobe, why not have them on one team? But he's not trying to hear that. But no, we talking about the Larry O'Brien show. That's why I called in.
Yeah, so like this sprinter Noah Lyles, I think his name is. He said that he doesn't like it when NBA champs are claimed world champs, right? He thinks that like just the way he sees it, right? Like just because you win in America doesn't make you a world champion, right? It's such a stupid take.
First of all the Europeans are coming over here. I mean,
well, the point is that the NBA
the best league is the NBA. It's
that's what I mean. The NBA is the league. It is the accomplishment for the game of basketball, right? Winning a gold medal or even a FIBA World Cup doesn't mean squat compared to the Larry O'Brien Trophy. That's what I was getting.
So who brought this up?
Noah Lyles. He's like a sprinter for the U.S. And he essentially
unless he's doing steroids, he's not in my book.
Yeah, well, all sprinters are on steroids, right? But
yeah, right.
But like essentially, yeah, he was saying how he doesn't like it how NBA champs are claimed world champs, right? And it's like one of those things where like if a 10-year-old said that to me, I'd get it, like what he was thinking. But as a professional athlete, like you must know the dynamics of basketball in the NBA compared to the rest of the world, right? And then what I was saying, right, the best analogy is this. Whenever an NFL team wins the Super Bowl, they're the world champs at American football, right? There's not a soul out there who says, Well, I don't know if they played some of those boys from the Canadian Football League.
Yeah,
They might take them.
The Euro.
It's
yeah,
just
like,
not.
No way.
Basketball is such a predominantly American-dominated sport that the
Not-
league in America
not only-
is where it's decided.
Not only that, if you remember, probably maybe when we were in about high school, they were talking about just not even fielding like just the dream team, but sending out like the champs. Like I think it was the Pistons or maybe the Spurs, and just having them play because like you don't have to coach them up. They already know how to play together. They're clearly going to beat the best in the world. Like that's why I said in the chat. Like really, you don't have to worry about Spain. Besides that, that's about it.
Ren, you know you
Like
get your
if
camera
Spain's
on.
there. Is my camera on?
Yeah, I think it's right in your ear.
Is it?
Well, no, not
Can you
now.
see me?
Yeah, but it's too dark. I can't
fuck.
see you. That's all right. Don't matter.
No, we're turning that off.
But yeah, like it's just such a stupid take. Oh no, he lost him. It's just such a bad take, bro. It really is. Like, I can't even. Like, I'm trying to like give him the benefit of the doubt and be like, where were you coming from? What were you trying to think of, right? And it's so obvious that like the NBA is the world championship of basketball every year, right? Like it's not even close. It just makes absolutely zero sense. And it's not so much that it makes zero sense, but I am so shocked at the number of people who agree with it, who are like, yeah, someone had to say it. As if we don't know that if America fielded their best every year, they would just dominate, and that the best players don't play in the NBA, etc., right? Like, it is the world championship for basketball every year. The best players in the world play in the NBA, bar none. And until that expands or something, like, it just makes no sense. The worst take in the history of takes. It's pretty bad. Like, it is pretty bad. It's up there. I'm definitely, I'm selling it hard. I just can't believe how many people agree. That's what's killing me is how many people I've seen on polls and whatnot are like, yeah, he's right. Like, what are we supposed to do? Right? Like, what's your other vision, or what's the other side of the coin here? Right? That there are possibly some other teams who could like give the NBA All-Stars a run for their money, or that you think another singular country could beat the NBA champions. That's the most generous view I could give you, is that you think some kind of national team out there could beat the NBA champions, which is not an outside possibility, right? But that's just not how it works, right? Because if you want to take that national team, well, then I'll field the Americans if I get the best of the best, and we're a 20-point favorite, right? It's just such a bad take. It really is bad. And, like, this has got to be some kind of personal grievance, right? There's got to be some backstory here. Some NBA star, like, mocked him in a club, or, like, some NBA guy was, like, leaving mean tweets or something. Like there's got to be some kind of ulterior motive here in terms of why he's lashed out like that against the NBA, right? It's like the NFL. The NFL and the NBA are exactly the same, where the NFL is the world championship every year for American football. I don't know. So, like, a part of me thinks he just said this to, like, get some publicity or something, which if that's what he's doing, then okay, I'll let it go. You win, right? But I think he's being serious, how, like, he just came off as jealous, like a little salty that NBA gets more publicity or coverage or whatever, right? I don't know. I can't explain it. I honestly can't explain it. Like what he could be thinking, right? But yeah. But all right, that's my stream. Ren fell off, so I'm probably just gonna call it a night here. It's 8:10 on my time. Y'all go vote in the poll. Go vote for your boy Nash, the greatest offensive point guard of all time. Oh no, Uber coming in so late. We had a Nash versus Kid debate I've debated sports and fitness rants. Robin, who I like, he's a good guy. Debated him on. I took the side of Nash. He took the side of Kid. I feel like I won, but I could have done a lot better. Yeah, you can just rewind the stream. It was also on Michael Jordan Fans of the Best page. And then the past 10 minutes, I've been ranting about how bad that Noah Lyles take is about NBA crowning themselves world champion. How stupid of a take that was. So, but yeah, I'll probably go ahead and call it. Unless someone put something in the chat real quick. But all right, I'll see y'all guys next time. I think we're doing a stream tomorrow, college football week 1, for this the football free for all competition. Me and my friends do. That's what we're gonna call it now. So, the worst take was that that American sprinter in track and field. His name's Noah Lyles, I think. He said that. He essentially said that he's tired of whenever you win the NBA championship, that is essentially crowned as the world championship, right? And he thinks that's wrong or that irks him. But it's true. The NBA is the global league, the best global league for basketball. And it's not even close, right? A gold medal, a FIBA World Cup, none of those things matter near as much as winning the Larry O'Brien trophy, right? That is the world championship of basketball every year, just the way it is. And you'll never change my mind. The best players in the world play in the NBA. It's the toughest league. There's not even a close second. And again, the best comparison is the NFL, right? I've said it like 100 times, but I'll say it 101 times. If the NFL champion, right? The NFL champion is the world champion in terms of American football, right? It's the exact same analogy and process and logic with the NBA, right? Whenever the Kansas City Chiefs win a Super Bowl, they don't go, oh, well, they didn't win the Canadian Football League too, right? Like, it's just the NBA and the NFL are head and shoulders the best in their sport, and that's where the best go to play, right? That is the world championship of that sport. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, it's not like soccer where you have several different leagues all across the world, and there's definitely some really good teams in each league. And there's like, I think soccer has one that might even be considered better than the World Cup. I'm not a big soccer guy, but essentially it's like the top 4 teams of every division go play. I forget what it's called, right? But they say that even that could be considered bigger than a World Cup win, right? Yeah, that's another point is like how many people or players do you think are out there that are deserving of an NBA contract who aren't playing in the NBA? 5 to 10 maybe? Like maybe there's some guys who are on that fringe of could be on a roster, right? But again, it's essentially nobody, right? In the grand scheme of things, like the best guys want to go to the NBA and are in the NBA. And that's where the best talent is, just the way it is. And whoever wins the NBA title, that means the most in basketball than anything else, right? Some guys might say, like, you know, Luka, I think, is on record saying he'd rather win a FIBA or like a world championship for his home country than an NBA title, right? And I get that. That makes sense, right? A little country pride. You're huge underdogs. It would mean even more to that tiny country if you won. But the world championship is the NBA, right? It's just the way it is for basketball. Oscar Schmidt, I have to look him up. Oscar Schmidt is an all-star talent, but he didn't want to play in the NBA. Granted, back when he was playing, the NBA players didn't make as much. What time frame was that? Or what era? I guess I can just look him up, right? Oh, yeah, I have seen this guy before. I've heard of him. The Brazilian national team. Interesting. So late 70s, 80s was his prime. Mid to late 70s. Schmidt was drafted by the New Jersey Nets in the 6th round of the 84 draft, and he played with their team in 1984 training camp and preseason. However, he declined the club's offer of a fully guaranteed contract because it was for considerably less money than he made at the time playing in Italy. Interesting. And also because to accept the team's contract offer would mean that he could no longer represent the senior Brazilian national team. That was because until 1989, NBA players were not allowed to play for national teams. Interesting. Early 80s, yeah. Late 80s, late 70s, early 80s. That's interesting. I do remember this guy now that I saw his picture. Definitely remember him. Rick Barry. Dude. Jerry West gets a lot of, like, I think he's underappreciated. Rick Barry is also underappreciated by a lot as well. I should maybe do, like, the most underappreciated, like, greats would be a good video. Yeah, Rick Barry's also, I think he's one of the few guys to ever take his team to a championship with no other All-Stars, I think, as well. Because I was looking that up when we were doing the Mavericks-Rockets finals runs debate. And Rick Barry popped up. He took his team to a ring with no other All-Stars, really. Let's see.
So we're going to step away from the seriousness of this storm for just 1 second. You gotta bear with me because this is something you don't see every day, guys. Guys, what are you doing? Literally, this is a very new way to beat rush hour traffic on Bayshore Boulevard in Tampa.
That's awesome. He had a great time, but got him out there. There he is. That's awesome.
Oscar Schmidt's professional stats? Like in the NBA or like when he was with Brazil and Italy? Yeah, he's definitely... Oh, it looks like they only show, like, Olympics totals, but still, even in the Olympics, damn, 88 averaged 42.5 points per game on 57%. Jesus Christ. That's pretty crazy. 92 from the line. Then averaged 33 and 92. Or no, 33 and 93, 94. That's pretty incredible, actually. $42 points a game. That's I don't care who you are. That's impressive. That is impressive, especially on that kind of clip. 56 from 3. 57 field goal. 58 2-point. That's pretty crazy. That's an insane stat line right there. Yeah, I don't doubt it. All right, boys. I'm going to call it a night. That was a good debate. I like Robin, so if I lose, no ill will. But I'll see you guys on the next one. We'll be live tomorrow doing college football, so you guys come around. I'll see you tomorrow.